Do you think I can complete the Inferno without leaving these 2 chunks?
No.
Nope.
No.
No way.
There's no
Are
way.
you stupid?
And this one question was where this story all began, and where I started to dedicate my entire RuneScape career into making the impossible Inferno a reality. But first, I think you need a little context, so let's take you all the way back to the start where it all began. Oh, I am so excited to finally be able to start this account. Look at how beautiful this place is. And that's it. I'm locked here. I can't leave this border until I complete the Inferno. You see, this account is an Xtreme Onechunk Ironman, which means I can't leave these 2 chunks without completing everything there is to do here, which includes not only obtaining every best in slot item, but also completing the collection log. This means there are some crazy tasks like obtaining a Jad pet or getting an agility skill cape, but standing over all of these is completing the Inferno and getting the elusive Infernal cape. And considering my best gear looks like this, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of research. However, when I started this account, the Inferno didn't even cross my mind for the first couple of months. I was just enjoying the account and taking in this nostalgic area, from killing my first lesser demon, to getting my first agility levels, and even getting a world record in the Fight Pits minigame. I was slowly pushing through the huge task list that these chunks had to offer, and the only thing on my mind at the time was, how do I even complete the fight caves without prayer potions? You see, the Jad pet is much more challenging than you might expect. Not only do I not have a method to train range, as the only obtainable ranged weapon in my chunk is the obsidian rings, which require level 60 range to equip, but I also don't have access to any prayer restoration, meaning I'd have to flick the entire cave. But I didn't let that hold me back. I kept working at it and eventually got 43 prayer from lesser demons for all of the protection prayers, and after a couple of attempts I completed my very first fight caves run using an obsidian sword. But it took over 8 hours. Oh my god, I know I did that a little under-leveled, but if I struggled that much with the fight caves run, how the hell am I going to complete the Inferno? And this was when I started doubting everything. Is this genuinely impossible? Well, there's one thing I hate when it comes to personal challenges, and that's quitting. On a one chunk account, there is an option to backlog tasks and do them in a later chunk, but I hated the idea of this and wanted to reserve it for only tasks that would take years for very little gain. But the Inferno's iconic, it's difficult, and it's fun. But most of all, if I could do this, it would be my single biggest accomplishment I'd ever have completed, and probably one of the biggest achievements in the entire game. So instead of giving up, while I was playing the account and nailing off all the other tasks one by one, including getting 99 agility just on the Brimhaven agility course, I was in the background researching, speaking to some of the biggest gamers in RuneScape, and most of all, being bullied by my friends.
I think you're an idiot.
Tella, I truly believe that if there is one person who can complete the Inferno on a one-chunk Ironman, if there's one guy who could do it, it's probably someone else. But I believe in you anyway, so, I mean, go for it.
You know, Tella, I've worked with a lot of people that do really insane things like this in RuneScape, and if anyone can do it, it's Rendy.
There is no chance ever that anybody, never mind you, could do this Infernal cape.
Tellacon out here thinking he's Port Kazard, man. There's no shot this guy has it in him.
You think you can beat it with 2 chunks? That is a massive ego you have. You are not that good.
Well, actually, I looked into the Inferno before I ended up picking Cox. If I were myself today and had the chance to restart somewhere and that place was the Inferno, I probably wouldn't do it either, so good luck.
It is ridiculous. There are about 45,000 reasons why it's not going to work.
But the response was justified. This was an insane thing to do, and over every video, my friends' comments were echoed by the community. It seems I was truly in over my head. The fact that all these amazing creators who do insane grinds also wouldn't be willing to take this on said a lot, but it didn't change my mind. I wanted to try and find a way to complete this no matter what. And as it turns out, maybe this was possible. There was a small semblance of hope. But before I go into any further details, I need to talk about today's video sponsor, Boot.dev. You see, Boot.dev is a platform designed to efficiently teach you backend development in various programming languages, but it does so in a very familiar way, as you can earn experience, unlock achievements, and complete quests for not only rewards, but also to compete for a top spot on the leaderboards, which keeps the process fun and engaging. I'm a developer myself, and I wish I had something like Boot.dev when I started, as it really helps it all sink in. I made a little project recently in Python, but as I'd not had much experience with it, I went through a few of Boot's Python courses and learned all of the syntax I needed with ease. And it was a lot more fun than a typical programming course. It also has a bunch of helpful features, my favorite being Boots, the AI bear wizard that'll help guide you to a solution without giving you the answer directly, which helps promote further growth. If you have any interest in programming at all, I genuinely recommend at least trying it out, as all of Boot.dev's content is free to read and watch in guest mode, so you can test it all out. And if you do want to move on to a subscription to unlock the interactive features and game mechanics, there is a 30-day no questions asked refund policy, so you can do so without worry. If this sounds fun, go to Boot.dev and use my code Tellacon to get 25% off your first payment, which includes the yearly plan. According to Exact, it was possible, and this message ignited something in me. Now that I knew it was genuinely possible, however hard it may be, I wanted to do everything I could to make this impossible Inferno a reality. But before we get into that, we need to actually go into what the Inferno is and what makes it so difficult even on a regular account. Well, the Inferno is regarded as one of old school RuneScape's most difficult pieces of content. It resembles the fight caves as it's a wave-based minigame, but is much more difficult. And although most of the NPCs in here might look familiar, they're a much more difficult version than the fight caves counterparts. The bats not only drain stats and run energy, but they attack faster than the fight cave version. The blobs hit with ranged and magic and now split into 3 blobs, one of each combat style. The meleeers dig next to you if you've been safe spotting them for too long, and if a mage is left alive, it can revive any NPC that's died on this wave, making this insanely difficult. Considering that each of these also hits much more than the fight cave counterparts, one mistake here typically means death. But these aren't even the worst of the monsters. The Inferno also has one more NPC not seen in the fight caves, nibblers. These attack the pillars in the cave, which are the only places you can safe spot the monsters. They're normally dealt with by using Ice Barrage or Ching Chompers, but without access to any of these, they are single-handedly the reason that I think this Inferno might be impossible. Towards the end of the caves at wave 67, you have to fight an upgraded version of Jad, which is difficult enough on its own. But on wave 68, you have to fight 3 at the same time, and the final challenge, Tezkalzuk, is a force to be reckoned with, which will require hours of precise gameplay for me to get a kill. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, but all in all, just know the Inferno is a scary place full of strong monsters, and even players with max gear and stats struggle. So for me to find a strategy here, I'm gonna need some help. So I contacted 2 of the best gamers I know to get some advice and opinions from some experts.
What's up?
Okay, I really need some help, and I cannot think of a better person to ask than you. Have you got any advice to complete the Inferno on my chunk account?
First of all, you're a mad lad. What is this one chunk challenge? What am I witnessing? This is crazy.
I think you can take it on blind, mate. I think go in unguided and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fist him, bro. You have to finish him with the fist for me, all right?
Get the Ilby Maul out. I know you've got one and you'll be fine.
How do I hit Zuck?
Can you not melee him?
No comment.
Make sure to kick Zuck in the nuts for me, all right?
I don't know what a nibbler is.
I think I called the wrong people. In all seriousness, I was speaking to a lot of people at the peak of the game to gather as much information as possible, but the ones that helped me out the most were Exact and Articon. Exact is not only one of the best experts at PVM, but he very specifically specializes in insane Inferno runs, not only boasting a level 35 combat completion, but also completing it with no overhead prayers, which is absolutely insane. And Articon is an insane speedrunner, having obtained many world records both in and outside of the Inferno, so having both perspectives from such amazing gamers will be invaluable. Before we get into it though, I want to bring up the obvious. I probably need range to complete the Inferno. Within my chunks, I can obtain obsidian rings which require level 60 range to equip, and I can obtain bronze arrows, but as I can't get a short bow, I don't have a direct method to train ranged at all. However, after looking at Impling's loot tables, I noticed that young Implings drop bowstrings, which would allow me to fletch a short bow and train range to 60 using bronze arrows. The problem is, I have no way to train Hunter directly. The only way to train it would be to catch Implings that roam into my chunk, and the lowest tier of Implings, Baby, require 27 Hunter without a net. So not only would I need to lamp to 27 Hunter, but also train to 32 by catching exclusively Baby Imps, which would take about 100 hours just for those 5 levels. But if that's what it would take to complete the Inferno, I'd be willing to do it. So this is my minimum viable gear setup that I settled on. As you can see, I'll have no ranged accuracy at all, no jewelry, and I'd have to do the entire Inferno run not only with obsidian rings, but also without prayer potions. I sent them both the image and explained the situation, and Exact said the nibblers will be hard, but it is possible. As I mentioned earlier, the nibblers are the monsters that attack the pillars, the only safe spots in the waves. And if they're not dealt with quickly, it leads to there being no more safe spots, making the Inferno infinitely harder. And without prayer pots, this would be an insane run. Articon had a different idea though. One of the first questions he asked that I didn't even consider was, why don't I get 84 Hunter for Ninja Implings? Ninja Implings drop two very important items that can lead to success in the Inferno. Firstly, they drop prayer potions, which would allow me to lose prayer points in tricky situations without the worry of running out of prayer points. But second, and most importantly, they drop runed throne axes. Remember earlier I said the best way to deal with nibblers was Ice Barrage? That's because it's a multi-targeting spell, meaning it can kill all of the nibblers in one attack. Well, runed throne axes have a special that does the same thing. It bounces between multiple targets. Now, I knew Ninja Implings dropped these items, but the reason it never crossed my mind was because getting 84 Hunter with barehanded imps was an insane task. With only one Impling spawn point in my chunks, I'd be looking at over 4,000 hours to get 84. But with that said, it was definitely an option on the table. The biggest problem of all though is still Zook itself. Neither of them could figure out a good way to complete it outside of simply getting good at the game. But there was one saving grace. Something I never knew existed that they both let me know about. Apparently, when Jagex released beta worlds, it allows you to save your main game's progress and load it into the beta world. So theoretically speaking, I could do a regular Inferno run on my main account, take the chunk gear in my inventory, save the state, and practice Zook endlessly in chunk gear until I get it down. This was my secret weapon, a way to actually practice for hours and hours and get a good feel for the Zook method I'd need to practice to eventually get a completion. But I do need to wait for those betas to roll around, so I can't always sit there and practice, but it's definitely a great first step. So now I had a way to practice Zook, and two potential routes for the waves. Get 32 Hunter and learn how to do a pillarless Inferno run without prayer potions, which would take a lot longer to learn and be more difficult, or spend thousands of hours getting 84 Hunter to make it that little bit easier, although it would still be one of the hardest Inferno runs in the game. The choices aren't great, but it is possible, so I'm gonna do it. I eventually decided I was going to take the 84 Hunter route. It's a long journey, but after looking into it, there are a lot of benefits it gives I never actually considered. After looking over the implings of the drop tables, it turns out I can get a few upgrades that will be really helpful for ranged accuracy. I can get an Amulet of Power, blue DI chaps, red spiky vambraces, a hard leather body, and snakeskin boots, which doesn't seem like a lot, but considering I have 0 range bonus at all currently, these are actually insane upgrades, and the faster I kill the waves, the less chance I have of making mistakes. But with all unseen rewards come unseen problems. Getting 84 Hunter actually changes my account a lot. Right now, outside of the Inferno tasks, I only really need to get 85 smithing and obtain a Jad Pet, but going all the way to 84 Hunter adds a lot more tasks. I won't list them all, but I'll need to get 67 crafting to cut an onyx, because one of the imps drops buckets of sand so I can train crafting. I need to get 75 fire making to burn a magic log from nature imps, and 87 fletching to fletch those magic logs into a magic shield. And considering I only have access to dead trees, this will probably take well over 1,000 hours of added time to the chunk. Add on the hunter grind and the range training, and I'm essentially making my chunk 2 to 3 times longer. But if I can complete the Inferno, it is worth it. There is a saving grace though. To get 85 smithing right now, my current method is to smith bronze bars, which will take around 1,800 hours. But with implings, I can actually obtain a mithril pickaxe. And if I lamp to 21 mining to use it, I can knock the smithing grind down to around 700 hours and get a high mining level at the same time. So overall, I think getting this hunter is an amazing idea and will solidify my chunk for the future. The only problem now was figuring out how to hunt imps and train hunter. Believe it or not, Puro Puro, a place where you can catch thousands of implings an hour, is just one tile away in the chunk to the north of Brimhaven. But as I can't leave my chunks, I can't access it. However, as it was so close, I contacted Rendy to try pulling some shenanigans and see if I could get in there without breaking the rules to make Hunter thousands of hours faster. We tried a lot of methods, but the closest we got was using an Asgardian ale stall, which looked like this. And on the surface, this was great. I never left the chunk, but unfortunately, the true tile of my character did leave, and I wasn't happy with the outcome, so this was a bust. I even spent many attempts timing the crop circle down to the game tick to click it just before it disappeared to see what would happen. happen, and after a long time and a lot of attempts, I finally got it. But unfortunately, even though the portal disappears, I still walked outside the bounds of my chunk, which means Operation Puro Puro was a failure, and I'd have to catch the overworld spawns forever. But I was still happy. I had a plan, a way to make the Inferno possible, and all it would cost me is time and effort. While I was putting the plan together, my viewers were going into other people's streams and asking what they thought about it all. And Verve said this.
I think Tellacon can do it. I think so. He has experience with, like, he has an Inferno cape. He's just gonna have to put in a crazy amount of time to master and get to that level.
This was extremely motivating. Verve has one of the hardest Inferno completions on any Snowflake account on his Karamja Ultimate Ironman series, so I decided to give him a call and ask a few questions. How difficult was your Inferno run on the Karamja account?
It's definitely the most difficult thing I've did. And it took me around, I think it was between 3 and 4 months to complete it.
So how long do you reckon it'll take me with the much worse gear setup and no ruby bolts?
I mean, it really depends on your like training speed, I would say. But you have done Inferno on the main account before, right?
Yeah, quite a few. But the lowest that I've done is Black D-Eyed Rune Crossbow.
Okay, well, that's honestly, that's a really good start. I think you should maybe try the Karamja cape as like a stepping stone.
I think that's a good idea. I guess the most important question is, do you think I can do it?
Yeah, I think you can do it.
Do you think you could do it?
I think I could do it, but would I do it? Probably not.
And with that said, welcome into phase 2 of my chunk account, completing the Inferno. I am committed and I will put every ounce of effort into completing this. So please do like the video and subscribe to follow along, show your support and keep me motivated. Oh, also, I do need your help. After doing some research, it seems that if I can get multiple people to help me scout implings, I can get my 84 hunter grind down to as little as 1,000 hours with enough people. So if you're willing to help me out over the next few months, please do join my Discord in the description and keep an eye on the announcements tab. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and to anyone who still thinks this is impossible, I can't wait to prove you wrong.